Welcome to Red Apple EdCo's quarterly leadership roundtable. I'm Dr. Kia Turner, founder and executive director, and I appreciate both of you for making the time. Would you please introduce yourselves? We'll start with Nelly.
Hey, hello, my name is Nelly Reina. I am a family engagement coordinator at Manor ISD.
My name is Gloria Vera Bedoya. I am renaming myself so that you can see my name on the on the screen. But yeah, so I work in community engagement also for Austin ISD, and so my job is actually changing. I will be our new community engagement coordinator. I'm not sure
Oh
what the
my
difference is,
gosh!
but hey, cheers to that too.
Hey, there you go. Bam.
That's right. Yeah, so it's exciting times, you know. I'm excited about finding a way to make our families feel part of Austin ISD, like, you know. And
Yeah.
so we got our work cut out for us. We have 74,000 students.
Yes,
We are not playing around.
Yes, and a lot of complex community needs too, which is what we are talking about today. So
Beautiful.
literally every quarter we do a roundtable and we get district leaders just like you two. We have one more who's going to join us. She told me she'd be a little late, but she should be here. And what we do is ask you to kind of weigh in on a common topic. So today we're literally talking about how do we build effective community relationships. I will tell you, and I think I've told both, no, I didn't tell you this, Nelly. So basically I started off as a teacher, right? 10 years, very high needs communities, right? Then I went on to be like an instructional coach, teacher, trainer, professor before launching Red Apple, right? In all of that time, I will tell you, none of my training involved bringing the community into my work.
Mhm.
So we had people who said things like, you need to understand the community that your kids come from. You need to appreciate that community that your kids come from. You need to respect the community that your kids come from. But none of that involved like getting into that community, you know what I mean? Or building relationships or like going out into it ourselves. And even now, you know, it's kind of popular for some school districts to like go knock on doors and things like that. But those are one-off events sometimes. And I say, hey, I don't know.
You're right.
And so what we're talking about today is how do we go from kind of those one-off events and that understanding that our kids do bring a culture and community into the building with them to how do we build relationships with that community that's outside of our school walls, our district walls. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now my first question is going to go to Gloria. What is your education origin story? How did you start working in schools? Like I just told y'all mine, I was a teacher. What is yours?
Honestly, it goes all the way back to growing up in extreme poverty. And I grew up in a small town called La Mesa, Texas. And the lines are clearly drawn, you know, Black and brown people are on one side of town and the other side of town is for more affluent white families. And we didn't have access, you know, the Black and brown kids, we got what was left, if there was anything left. And too often there wasn't. So I grew up with that, I'm going to say anger about not having access, right? That hunger for wanting to have access. And when I was in the 6th grade, I met a teacher that changed my life. Her name is Judy Kinnear. I still remember her. Tall, redheaded lady, and the kindest woman that I have ever met. She wore a ring just like this, and that's why I wear this ring every day to remind me that we have the opportunity to impact the life of a child and to help them grow up confident, to pour into them. And so that's where it started with Judy Kinnear.
Well, I have to know now, what did she do that helped you? Like, what did she say? Was she just nice? What'd she do?
No, when I was, this is going to be a total Debbie Downer story, but when I was 12 years old, I was assaulted by an adult, and it was pretty awful. And so it was a situation where I was made to believe that if I spoke out, that I would have, that I would be in trouble. So, and this is, we often don't talk about how these things happen to children sometimes because it's really uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
it happened to me, and that teacher saw the sadness, and I had suicidal ideation a lot at the time, and she reached out to me and she gave me a job. She gave me a job in the media center. So I'm 45 years old, so I'm old. And so my job
Don't say that.
my job was to you could check out a projector, or you could check out the double reel where they would show a film in class.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So my job was I was very proud of my job, by the way. I would put that on a cart and take it to whatever classroom it was. She gave me purpose,
Yeah.
and that saved my life. And so
Oh, girl.
teachers teachers make the world go round. So absolutely, that's what has me here.
I love that and appreciate you being transparent. I will tell you that you're right. As a teacher and as a person, listen, the assault stories, on children are a lot more common than I think people would like to believe. So I
Mhm.
appreciate you for being like, hey, this happened. I had a teacher who helped lift me when I was in a dark place. May we all, you know what I mean, have teachers like that or people like that around us when we really need them. What about you, Nellie? Tell us, what is your education origin story? How did you come to do the work you are doing?
Well, to start off, um, I went to school in this district.
Oh
When I
my gosh!
Oh yeah, everybody when they see me and they hear me say that, they're like, "Oh, you made a full circle. You're
That's what
back
I
with
just.
us." So yeah, so I've seen this city grow a lot from the time that I was here. And kind of a little bit about the same in regards to growing up. I'm the oldest of four kids, and
Say,
I'm the only one that I was born in Mexico originally. So I saw my parents struggle whenever they came over to Texas, and then they were trying to do the best they could to, take the family into a better place. And I would see that. So
Mhm.
like situations like that I would see, and my parents would always tell me, just get through school. Education is very important. So when I just heard that, and I just had that in my head. I'm like, I have to do better. Like I have to push through for all of us. Like I did this for everyone. And then, later on, you also have to understand you're doing it for yourself. So,
Yes.
yeah, just growing up, seeing all those differences and how they couldn't really help me with my homework, especially because of the language barrier and, their education. Like my dad didn't go past I think it was like middle school, and my mom, she almost graduated from high school. She did a little more, but then again, she had me at a pretty young age. And
yeah,
then my grandparents, they only had an elementary level education. So I just kind of, it's mostly of a Latino thing, a Hispanic, in the Hispanic culture. You're doing it for the family as well. Family is a big part of my life. And yeah, so whenever we moved here originally, I started at different elementary schools, and I just did my best as best as I could. I did everything, and I I didn't want to get in trouble. I was like, I have to, you don't do great. I went to a couple of different schools. At first, I think I was at Austin ISD, and then I started in Manor in third grade. My English wasn't that great back then, and now, like whenever I get a little nervous, I still have, you can hear a little bit of an accent, which it's understandable. But yeah, I started in third grade, and I had a teacher there where, because originally I was just in Spanish classes, and then when I got to Manor, third grade was the first year that they put me in an all English class, and the teacher did not know any Spanish, but she did the best she could to help me out.
yeah,
And um, ironically, like that same year that she was gonna retire or leave, I faintly remember, I don't know why, but the news station was invited to the school and that interviewed her, that she was a great teacher and everything, but as well, that teacher was a really good role model for being there for her students. And like, even though it wasn't her exact job to do the extra work for me to understand the language, I mean, it's part of it, or else I wouldn't be able to know the work. So she would help with the assignments, with extra I guess explaining and doing a little bit of more one-on-one with me. And same thing, she would try to help with my parents. But again, it was that language barrier, always being the language broker in my home. So growing up with that, like, there's a lot of families that deal with the same things. So I mean, I not exactly in education. I didn't see myself just being in education or any branch of it, but I always saw myself wanting to help others, especially our community, like the minorities. So in any way, like I did case management for a bit, helping young children, the youth, and then I also did tutoring, just trying to search more of what that, I guess, my calling would be. And right now, I'm really enjoying what I do. I like connecting the families into the school, and then having the parents have that empowerment, or pushing the parents to have that self growth to help their kids, even though they didn't have an education themselves. There's other ways to support and have the kids understand, like, education is really important. So I mean,
Absolutely.
just just little things.
I love all
Yeah.
that. And maybe it's an oldest child thing, because same, right? My mom has 4 daughters and I'm the oldest, and I am like
Mhm.
the breakouter, or whatever it
Breaking
is.
them ceilings,
There
absolutely.
you go. It's like, if you're the first one there, it's like, I got to bring everybody through with me. And so I love that. And I love that you both had such incredible teachers who were just doing their job. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't any like initiative or anything going on. They were so connected with you relationally that they
Mhm.
understood how to be there for you, and that, like, maybe their work with you didn't necessarily just start and stop with delivering instruction to you. So I
Oh,
think that is
that teacher
amazing.
saved my life, like,
Ah, I love
and
that. We need that on a
and
t-shirt. Like, teacher
yes,
saved my life. Yes.
and when I dropped out of high school, I'll be honest with you, I dropped out of high school in the
Not
10th
ready,
grade.
Gloria. You got to prepare me for these turns in your story. What in the world?
I did. I
You
dropped
can
out
like
of high
travel.
school, and I had a little boy. My son, he is 26 years old now. Um, but after I had him, I realized that working, the jobs that I had were $7 an hour, and there was no way to make it. So I went and I got a GED, and a lot of our students follow this path. Thankfully, with Austin ISD, we have like the GPA programs, which is an accelerated course, so that they can they can graduate. So it can be there can be success. I mean, dropping out of high school is not, the end of it all, but it's a little harder. It's more challenging for sure.
I definitely agree. And I love that even as a very young woman, you were able to say, this ain't gonna get it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just, work these kinds of jobs and give my son the opportunities that I want him to have. I think that's real. And I also appreciate, oh, that's Quinn. She's with us. She said she's on the phone real quick, but she's here. So this is Professor Quinn Terry, I was telling you all about, who works with the
Mhm,
teacher preparation program out of Denver, Colorado. So she prepares
mhm.
helps prepare lots and lots of teachers to go into a diverse group of schools all the time. And she's been doing it for years. I think I've known Professor Terry for, geez, maybe 5 years now. And she's been doing it the whole time. Maybe more than that. But anyway, I love that the education you had showed you that there was more that was possible. And I agree with you. Dropping out of school isn't necessarily the end of the world, but what we need are people who understand how to get back on that train. You know what I mean? Like Nellie said, if education is important, then you need to hear how you can help yourself if maybe you didn't take the traditional route, which comes with those community relationships. Brings me to question number 2. What is your biggest lesson learned when it comes to building effective community relationships? Like, what is the biggest lesson? I'll start. Okay, because I got this one since I made up the questions. Okay, so like, I got a little cheat because I made them up. I will tell you, my biggest lesson learned when building effective community relationships is to listen. Like I told you, work with school districts in a lot of different states, right? I find out who is important to the community I serve by listening to that community and watching, who it is that they are listening to and who they gravitate to. And those are the people that I try to partner with. Sometimes, I think we go into community partnerships feeling like either we're the savior, so we're going to come in and help you guys do this thing that you don't even need done, or we come in and we're kind of takers. And we're like, we only need people who can provide 25 backpacks for our kids. If you can't provide those backpacks, we don't care about anything else. And they're like, wait, we have all this other stuff we'd love to do. And it's like, excuse me, we are only looking for backpack partners at this point. And so, our mental health providers or just whatever. And so I really try to listen. And then I try to pay attention to who people are already going to see. That's me. All right, Nelly, you take that one first.
So, like you had said, just listening, but I'm still growing in my role. I haven't been in this specific role for too long. So, what I've always seen is trying to put yourself in their shoes or meeting families at where they're at. That way, you understand so many different factors. Because I may not struggle with many of the things that they actually struggle. So then it may be hard to understand like why this person, for example, wasn't able to have their kid in school the whole week. Yeah. We just go and make those phone calls or those negative outreach or that they know the calls. Like the only reason the school might be calling is because it's something negative. We need to make it into something positive and then understand what's happening. Maybe they only have a car per family, and just meeting them where they're at and then understanding their situation, being in their shoes, because our lives have gone through different roads, and that's what I've learned throughout I haven't been in the education system too long, but I've seen a lot of the common things.
Yeah, I think you're right. What do you think, Gloria?
For me, effective to any effective relationship, right, is that it's never one and done. It's never like, hey, I met Dr. Kia Turner. We're friends now. Well, what do you know about her? Well, that, she's got red apple and then, she's Dr. Kia Turner. There's got to be more depth. We got to foster relationships, right? And so when I worked as a parent support specialist 4 years ago, it was for a very brief time because that's when COVID happened, right? I still remember, like, I swear, y'all, I'm traumatized every time March comes around because we went to what is it, spring break, and we never came back. We didn't come back for 2 years,
That is true. That is very true. Yes.
Yeah, and so it was like the bottom of my world just fell out, and we were in a free fall for so long. But before that, the most important things that ever happened in my life were when I was a parent support specialist, I think, because I got to know the needs, like Nelly said, you meet the people where they're at, and it's usually going to be somewhere that they need something, right? They need something from you. And one of the most amazing experiences that I had when I was a parent support specialist at Brook Elementary was I met a child. Her name is Oriana. And Oriana, skinny, tiny little baby. She was in 3rd grade. And she showed up at school with her jacket folded up in her hands. And I said, Oriana, why aren't you wearing your jacket? It's really cold outside. When we get some cold weather here in Central Texas. and she opened it and it was dirty. And so I took the jacket and I told her, I'm going to take it home and I'll wash it. I'll bring it to you tomorrow. But as a parent support specialist, I kept a closet full of jackets, secondhand clothes. And that's what pushed me to create the Brooke sharing shelf, is what we used to call it. And so the sharing shelf had, on the bottom shelf, we had secondhand shoes. Next one was jeans, shirts, and the top two were shelf stable food. And so it wasn't a lot, but it was more than had been there before, right? And so I struggle a lot with my sleep pattern is wild, and so I'm awake a lot sometimes at night. And I was watching Netflix one day, and there was a commercial for Whirlpool. It's called Whirlpool Cares, I think it was what it was called. And there was an opportunity to write a grant for a washer and a dryer for a school. And the light bulbs went off. Like, dirty clothes is a barrier sometimes for kids to attend school. And it had never dawned on me until I met Oriana, right, with her jacket, and she was embarrassed. And so she would rather brave the cold than to wear the dirty jacket, right? And
Yeah.
so I wrote the grant, and sure enough, Whirlpool gave us a heavy duty set of washer and a dryer, yes, and 8 bottles of soap and softener. And so that was another opportunity to have a contact with the family. And so if there was a family that was struggling with it, I told them, hey, bring a couple of loads and come and wash it, dry it here, and take it home. Those families, they still reach out to me. And we haven't been in each other's lives in years, but I'm still their parent support specialist. But it's because one of the things is, I made some notes with the questions, is we have to identify the need, and we have to identify the solution and work backwards from there, right? So that we can meet them, so this is the solution, let's find a way to get it back to you. And in that time, it was a washer and a dryer.
I love that. I also love that even as a parent support specialist, you felt empowered to write a grant. I will tell you, a lot of people don't. What I mean, it's like this idea that if we can't get something done, you know what I mean, or if I don't have necessarily the budget for it, I'm not sure about what more I can do. I'm actually working with a school district now, I think I told you this, maybe I didn't, where they're partnering with laundromats in their area. And so what you're saying is, if you get your kid to school, okay, you can bring a load of clothes, right? They have like a raffle. So if you come to school 2 days in a row or 3 days in a row, they're targeting it to certain families, right? Send them like these little cute flyers. If you get your kids to school, you drop the clothes off here. The laundry people agree to come pick them up. And then they'll go ahead and like bring them back folded. So like when they take the kid home for the day, you take your clothes with you, right?
That's beautiful.
Like, that is amazing, because it's absolutely true that we have to put ourselves in our family's shoes in order to understand how to partner with them. The other thing I would say is, we don't just have things to give, they want to give things too. Don't nobody just want to be on the receiving end and feel like, all y'all do is see me as somebody who needs something. And I think sometimes we take a deficit approach where it's like, poor you, impoverished family. I know that you have nothing that you could offer us. We're going to do all these things for you, poor you, parent with 5 children and 1 job, I know that you have. And while those things are true, what's also true is that those people and families have value they want to add as well. People want to show you, I appreciate what you're doing, or I can do this even if I can't do all these other things. And I think we need to make time for that as well. Okay, so question 3, what do you think, Professor Terry said she's gonna log in with her computer, she was on her iPhone. What do you think would make it easier for schools to work with community partners? Gloria, I'm throwing that one to you because I know you've seen a lot of different layers. What are the hurdles here? Do you know? School systems are always like, we need partnerships. Kia, we really need partnerships. It's what we need. And then I talk to partners and they're like, girl, we are there, but nobody uses us. We can't We can't even get to what we want to do because nobody calls us and we don't know who to talk to. So we're kind of just partnered, but not really effective. What do you think, Gloria? What you got?
I believe that it requires openness and trust.
Ooh,
It's a two-way street, right?
yeah.
And I hate to tell you this, it's not easy, right? Because we have FERPA, we have kids, like we have all the crazy hi Professor Terry. We have kids wilding in the background. We got the staff, mad because we're not earning enough money, right? Because we're teaching these bad kids or whatever people are going through, right? And so it's really hard to open up and say, look, this is the help that we need, right? But when we're willing to do that, like you said, we don't have to create the resources, they already exist, right? And so that is top of mind for me all the time. Is there's already people, there's Central Texas Food Bank that provides food for families that are having hunger or they're having food issues, right? Insecurity. There's I don't know, there's resources for every need. We just have to identify it, but we can't just carry it around in here. We have to find somewhere, and we have to. One of the things that I'm working on is creating a hub for our schools to go to, where we're listing all the different resources and the partnerships so that we can standardize access, right, to the resources. Because then if I leave the job, I take all that knowledge with me, that's not helping anyone. So for me, I think that it requires us to create good, effective relationships if we want to work easier with community partners. And so it's just a cycle, right? We have to foster relationships. We have to check back in. We can't just say, oh yeah, I know Dr. Turner. Yeah. But what do you know about her?
I love that. We're going to pause. Professor Terry, can you introduce yourself to us and tell us, how did you come to work in education? What is your origin story? And welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you all for, just being patient with my lateness. I did text Kia to let her know I was running a little late from an appointment. So I first want to apologize to you all for being a little bit late today, but I'm so excited to be here. So my name is Quinn Terry. I am the program director for Relay Graduate School of Education in Colorado. Gloria, I believe you're in Texas, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have a couple of campuses of Relay in Texas, in San Antonio, I think Austin, and
that's where they are.
No, is that where you guys are? Okay. Yeah. So we have a couple of campuses there. But anyway, if you're not familiar with Relay, we are a teacher preparation program where in 2 years you can earn your Master's of Arts in Teaching.
Wow.
In Colorado, we have a large residency program. So what's really nice about that is the focus is on, alleviating the stress of being a first-time teacher of record by yourself. So you get to learn under a mentor teacher for the first year, and then the second year of the program, you have already earned your license, and then you can be the teacher of record in year 2 of our program. So I've been doing that work for almost 7 years now, in different, capacities here at Relay. But prior to that, so my story is very interesting because actually I didn't want to be a teacher. That was not
I did not either. Yeah.
No, I was a musician. So my undergrad is in trombone performance. I wanted to be a classical musician. Yeah. So I've played with, Colorado Symphony before in high school. I had like quartets and quintets and played in orchestras and stuff. And I joined by way of Teach for America. So I was a 2003 South Louisiana Corps member who moved from Colorado down to rural Franklin, Louisiana, to do my 2 years of service. And 20 years later, this is year 20 for me in education, I'm still here. So, but I was an elementary teacher for 13 years prior to being in higher ed. And so, you never know your plan. You think you have one plan and then something else happens along the way. So that's a little bit about my story and how I'm here and helping residents, become teachers because they're young and have energy and all the things now. So
Well, thank you
yeah.
for that. Gloria and Nelly, can y'all introduce yourselves really quickly so then, Quinn can know who you two are as well.
Yeah.
Go,
Yes,
Nelly.
my name is Gloria Vera Bedoya. I work for Austin ISD, Austin Independent School District, and I work in community engagement, and I have high hopes and big dreams, and so I'm hoping to accomplish most of them this year. We'll see.
Good. Nice to meet you.
To meet you, Professor Terry.
Thank you.
And my name is Nelly Reina. I am down the street, or, well, I guess up the street. I'm not sure. Here at Maynard ISD. It used to be a small city, but now it's growing a lot. So we have tried to use all of our resources. We've like kind of exhausted the ones that are local. So now that it's growing, we're like, yay, we have more places we can reach out to. But yeah, my role is a family engagement coordinator. I have recently started this maybe in a couple months ago, back in like mid-September. So there's still a lot that I'm still learning, and I also didn't really start in education right away, but I came back to the school or the district that I had gone to. So I'm here. I'm
That's
giving back.
amazing.
I know,
Great
don't
to
we
meet you
love the
both.
full circle? The full circle of it is like,
Yes.
that is amazing. So we are on question number 3, Professor Terry. What do you think would make it easier for schools to work with community partners? And when you were logging on, Gloria said it really is going to take some trust, right? Like we need to trust that even if it's ugly, okay, and we know sometimes it can be, it's a little colorful, okay? Even if it's not the picture that we would want to paint, we open up and let partners know our real need and allow them, the space to come in and really meet it, which I love as a concept. Although she's right, that is a big dream and goal to have. What do you think, Quinn?
Yeah. Repeat the question for me one more time because I want to make sure I have
Make it
something
easier
concise
for
and not
schools
ramble.
That's okay. It's fine if you ramble. I'm chatty.
Yeah.
What do you think? I really am. What do you think would make it easier for school districts to work with community partners? Like, what is the deal? School districts always say they need partnerships, but then they have them, and then the partners are like, nobody's really using us, even though we're here. Maybe while you think about it, we'll go to Nelly.
Yeah. Oh, I have an answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was thinking about a couple of things as you were saying that, like, so I'm thinking about my role as a teacher at this point, like when I was in the classroom, and it's like, how do I say this?
However it comes.
So there was like, I always felt this tension of like the individual things I was doing as a teacher for my class and my school versus like the district at large. Like one thing I feel like was really lacking was I always felt like I was on an island as a teacher. I always felt like sometimes if you had a good team, you could rely on your team or whatever. But I feel like there's a little bit of a culture of, I got to do it myself. I got to figure it out myself as a teacher. Like it's like we say one thing and do something else in education. Well, okay, I'm not even gonna get on that. We say one thing and we do something else. So we say things like collaboration, partnership, mentorship, working together, team and family. Like we say these things, but in action, everyone is siloed.
I wonder if that's a safety thing, though, like what Gloria was saying, because I remember specifically, even though I will not name names, okay, but I remember working under leaders who were terrified of saying, we are not meeting the mark. Our teachers need help. And so even though as teachers, we knew that there was nowhere for us to access the people who so wanted to partner with us, because that administration was like, everything is fine. Right. We are doing fine. You know what I mean? And so we couldn't get the progress that we needed. And you're right, it ended up being, I'm gonna sneak under the radar as this teacher and I'm gonna do this stuff anyway. But we couldn't go as a group because there was not the sense of, I don't know, psychological, emotional, professional safety. It could be professional safe, right?
I think it's all the above, right? Because so here's the thing for me. And so I have a great lens as like a professor of young teachers now, and then working with a whole bunch of different partnerships, and then having been a teacher. So there's this development, right? Like when you're a beginning teacher, you're terrified. Like you don't want to rock the boat. There's people who are there before you, and you're like, oh my God, who do they know? I've been here a year or 2 or 3, right? Like longevity in the field is no longer like 20, 30 years in education, right? Like the veteran is 3 to 5 years in at this point, which, you know, that's a whole nother subject. But so if I think about that, right? And so then I'm like, I'm, you know, researching this new grant, or I saw this new thing over here. And then so I'm going to get it for my room, but the other kids don't necessarily have whatever the thing is, right? And so then to me, there also becomes this ego dynamic. Teachers tend to be very egotistical.
I mean, well, you do get to direct a room full of people every day.
We do. Like we are an orator. We get to
say.
impart knowledge seemingly on kids that know nothing, right? Because of course, what do they know coming in when they know everything, right? It's like I'm a facilitator. I'm not pouring in an empty cup, of course. And so then there's this ego part. So then if I think about administration, right? We think about the same thing, right? Who's visiting our schools? Is the superintendent coming today? What community partners are touring my school? I got to put on a good face. Everybody's happy and behaviors are great. When it's like all a sham. It's like, and that's real talk. It's like, we are not free in education to say, I am in genuine need of support. We're in a spot now, especially like there's teacher shortages. Our people who are residents are being hired up to replace teachers who are quit. Like it used to be a thing where you never quit mid-year. Like that was not a thing. It's like, no, I'm holding this ship down until summertime. And then, you know, we're going to figure out something after the kids are, you know, safe and free and no longer in my class. Now it's like, it's chaos. Like ever since the pandemic, and rightfully so, like we just came back like nothing was wrong. There was no assessment. Everybody wanted to act like it was unicorns and rainbows, right? And it wasn't. And so I think it's a couple of things. So to round out this rant, I think it's a couple of things. I think there's fear of admitting that you don't know. I think there's fear of asking for help and support. I think there's fear in not knowing how to support or where to go, because we're holders of knowledge, right? We're like, okay, this is what I do. I'm going to take it with me. They're going to have to figure it out. And so that collaboration and partnership is it's a necessity for us to keep going. And so what we need is like, who are our change agents? Who are our people, especially if you have longevity in the field, to speak up and speak out without there being a penalty for doing so? Because we also know in some places there is a penalty for speaking up and speaking out. So now I know this is recorded. I don't know, whatever. Okay. I'm at the point where it doesn't matter. Right?
That is fine. What you said is generally applicable, and thank you, Nelly.
Yeah, so that's my Quinn Terry rant, and all my students are like, "Oh my God, she's on her soapbox again." But I mean, you know,
that's okay. Nelly, what do you think would make it easier? Just what I love about the perspective that you have, Nelly, is like you said, you're fresh to what you're doing, which means you are not stuck to the way that things have been done. I love that. What do you think would make it easier to work with community partners? Like, what is missing? Is it just fear? Is it communication? What do you think?
I feel like at the same time, you have to be open to getting all those different types of feedback. Because like for me, like you said, I'm fresh into the education field, any type of branch. I mean, barely gonna be 2 years in the district, so it's still pretty fresh, but I'm still open to learning and understanding of what I guess you could say the mentors or everybody, what their experiences are, and then just soaking that in. And like Gloria had said, and Professor Terry, y'all mentioned almost a lot of great things. I mean, keeping and fostering those relationships. It can't just be oh yeah, I just need this, and then that's it. And then,
Mhm.
I mean, you never talk to them again. But I, I mean, it's just so many factors. And then another thing that I think about that I've seen a lot now, it's budgeting. So it's like it just
Yeah.
depends what you can bring in and what you cannot. And it's a lot of different levels of like, okay, my boss says yes, but her boss says no. So then it's a lot of steps that you have to go through. So just knowing the right person is very helpful. So yeah, relationships is my key point there.
I think relationships are definitely key. And you just made me think of something Gloria said. Gloria, you know how you just said you wanted to do like the central hub so that nobody's the holder of the knowledge, like everybody can figure out who's doing what. I think that cuts out the need to have to massage relationships so much, Nelly. You know what I mean? Like the reason we have to do that is, first of all, you're right, budgeting is a huge issue. I find that people do not know what they can do with the money they receive. Even when I was at school sites and then when I wasn't, there would be just so much money that was supposed to be allocated for something and people didn't know that. And so then it's like, here we are at the end of the year. And I literally remember having a principal be like, what can we buy? We got like $10,000. Like, what? We had $10,000 and we didn't have all this stuff all year. You know what I mean? But that
Yeah.
person was
Then
like,
there's that
we
rush.
got all this extra money in the budget and now I got to get rid of it before the end of the year. And so they would go on like just a spree of things, right? And that wasn't the only person. And so it's because there wasn't centralized knowledge of this is how much we have, these are the things you can do with it, or these are the partners we have, this is what they can do for you so that you're not duplicating services or duplicating efforts, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I definitely agree. Okay, question 4, because go ahead.
I was gonna say, so we had a board meeting last night in Austin, and I am elated, honestly, because several of the trustees, Trustee Ophelia Zapata and Trustee Candace Hunter, both spoke about the importance of family engagement, right? And so I think that one of the things that we have to be very aware of, or to avoid at all costs, is becoming treating it like transactional, treating each other like we are, what can you do for me, what can I do for you? Like,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
let's not do that, you know. I, like I said, I'm 45 years old, and I'm fortunate enough to work with a lot of younger women, and I tell them anything that I know, any person that I have access to that you need access, I am happy to introduce you if and make an introduction. And not because, you know, I brought you. No, I'm gonna introduce you and y'all, you know, you work on your relationship. And because that's how we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to, there's a saying by Ram Dass that I love. We're all just walking each other home.
Oh,
I mean, my God.
I want that on a t-shirt too. Gloria, that's it. All the stuff.
We're going
Look,
into the t-shirt
you're
business.
saving our life. We're all just walking each other home. Girl.
But it's the truth though, right? We're all just walking each other home, and like nobody has to get there first.
Yeah.
Just have to get home. That's it, you know. And home is different for all of us. So I don't know. But yeah, it was really exciting to me to hear our trustees be that excited about family engagement and community engagement. I'm like, yes, I'm
And I
here.
hope it spreads because a lot of times, you know, this is what we do all the time, and we have to go in and make the case for why it's important. And mostly what I hear is, you know, we're not focused on that right now. We're really focused on closing the gap from the pandemic. We're not focused on building relationships. I'm sorry, we need to get reading scores up. We need to get math up. We need to really help our kids with SEL. And I'm like, okay, but how are we doing that if the people who are dropping them off at school every day don't know what you're doing? Like, I have no idea of what that is and why it's important. You know that they don't live with us, right? Like they have to go home, and those people should probably be a part of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So I love that your board. Now I'm gonna look that meeting up on YouTube because I'm myself. Okay. So finally, question 4, What is one message you'd like to leave with us about the importance of community partnerships? Like if you could put it all in a nutshell, why is it so important to bring the community along with what we're doing in schools? And any one of you can take that one.
I mean, I guess quickly I could say that, I mean, what are our schools made up of? Like, where are they coming from? They're coming from our community. So I think one of the greatest partners that we need to have is that partnership with our parents and families. So that's a huge partnership right there that we definitely cannot, we need to foster and like keep it going. Because then it goes back to everything that we have said, like the trust process and everything. They won't trust you enough to come and be part of the school more than just dropping their kid off. So I think I think it's that. So that's my part.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right, what you got, Quinn or Gloria? Still thinking on it?
Would you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. What is one message you want to leave us with about the importance of community partnerships? Like, why is it so important to not leave community out of the work we're doing in school systems? I'll take it.
What's that proverb that says, if you want to get somewhere fast, go by yourself. If you want to get there, I'm sure I'm killing it. I'm chopping it up, but like we got to work together, right? If
Yeah.
we are going to serve our families, and if we're going to improve public education, because if you think about it, there are, last night it was discussed in the board meeting that Austin ISD is following 351 bills that have been introduced by Texas legislature. It's a fraction of what the ledge is doing, right? And so if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and transparent and open and trusting and all this and that, we know that public education is not being funded properly. A lot of times it feels like it's under attack from the people that make the laws, right, for us. And so if we can help community partners understand the importance of public education and access for our students, I think that we have a fighting chance to keep public education, and we need it because not everybody has the ability to go to a private school. And if we become privatized, and we become then you're going to end up with good private schools, and then you're going to have bad. It's going to be the same thing, except it's going to be more less access. Anyway, that gap that we talk about is just it's gonna become a gulf, not a gap anymore. It's just.
I love that. Thank you for that. What you got, Professor Terry?
Yeah, I think if I could leave with anything, so there's safety in numbers.
Oh.
And what I would try, I'm going to put this kind of on the like teacher administrative side for this, that parents and caregivers are our biggest asset and can be our biggest allies. If we just took the time to have the space to listen to parents and caregivers, what is it that they need from their communities, made, our doors open and accessible, especially in a world where we have a huge amount of like violence and unsafety in our school. There's not safe in our school.
We got you.
Like
we was with you.
Yeah, like our biggest allies are our families. Like, what would it be like if we could just be like, we're a village. It takes all of us to do this work, not even do it well. I mean, to do it safe. We all have to be there, And so if we just put down the ego, put down the fear, opened our doors, treated people, like what could we do with our communities, you know? And this is the last thing I'll say, you know, in Colorado, lots of growth over the last 10 years. I'm a Colorado native, so I've seen the growth, lots of gentrification happening. It's not just of course, in our communities, but around the nation.
Mhm.
And with that comes a difference in cultural norms and expectations and things that are imparted in our communities that have kind of left that out. And so what if we kind of went back to basics, like making sure that the people who have been a part of our communities are included to help with that. So get our families on our side so that we can like go to legislation and be like,
Yeah.
this is us, like this is what we want. And that's where you have that fight in the numbers. So that's what I would say.
I love
I
that
love that so much.
too. And to close out, I would say one of my favorite quotes, it's actually my email signature, even though I'm about to probably butcher it. It's like Simon Sinek, who says, if what you do doesn't match what you believe, then no one will understand your why. Right.
Mhm.
And so I feel like a lot of times we say, this is for the kids. We care about the kids. We put the kids first, which is supposed to be our why. But then what we do pushes out those people that care about the kids. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so then it's like we end up with parents and community members who are confused about our intentions because we say that this is our why, right? We're all here for the kids. And when they show up like, okay, we're here for the kids too, we're like, not like that. We didn't need you to show up with the kids like that. That's not what we was talking about. You can't show up like that and be for these kids. And so
Mhm.
when we do that and we have these norms, right, that don't reflect the communities that we're situated in or don't reflect the values of the people that we serve, we end up with this mismatch and this lack of trust. And I
Mhm.
think if COVID taught us anything that was already there before COVID, but I digress, it's that we cannot really be for the kids if we leave their families at the door.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Can't be.
Absolutely.
There's no way that those two things go together.
Mhm.
And so it's incumbent upon us to be like, we got to bring your family in because we can't make it. We can't be there for you if we're not there for them. So,
Absolutely. I agree.
okay, last question, and you can hit this one with a thumbs up or thumbs down. If anyone wants to follow up with you after seeing or listening to this, are your LinkedIn DMs open? Can they DM you on the LinkedIn? Okay, thumbs up to Professor
Yes.
Terry, thumbs up to
100%. Mhm.
and thumbs up. What about you, Nelly? Okay.
Mel was like, meh.
I was like, wait.
She's like, I gotta get my bearings. I'm new.
I'm like worried. I'm like, I'm almost going to my next meeting as well. Like,
It's okay. We are good. Thank you all so much for making the time. I will give you all a recording of this. You have been amazing.